Lila had been searching for work for weeks, her small savings quickly dwindling. Every day felt heavier than the last, the weight of bills and rent pressing on her shoulders. She had applied for countless jobs, from cafes to retail stores, but nothing seemed to stick. Each rejection stung, not just because of the practical side of losing income, but because it chipped away at her confidence. She had always believed that if she worked hard, things would fall into place. But now she was starting to wonder if life was just testing her in ways she couldn't understand. One afternoon, as she sat on a bench near the bus station scrolling through job listings on her phone, her friend Maya called. They had met years ago in college, bonding over shared struggles and dreams that seemed bigger than their reality. Maya had always had a way of seeing opportunity where others only saw problems. "Lila, I heard the Grandview Hotel is looking for a receptionist," Maya said, her voice filled with excitement. "It's temporary, just a few weeks, but I think it could be perfect for you. You're organized, calm under pressure, and you have that friendly energy people notice." Lila hesitated. She had never worked in a hotel before, and the thought of dealing with high-end guests made her nervous. But desperation outweighed doubt. "Okay," she said slowly. "I'll try. It's better than sitting here feeling sorry for myself." The next day she arrived at the hotel, a sleek building with tall glass windows reflecting the busy streets around it. Inside, the lobby gleamed with polished floors, chandeliers hanging from the ceiling, and soft classical music playing. It was a world she had rarely stepped into, and for a moment she felt out of place. Her temporary uniform felt stiff and unfamiliar, and she noticed the other staff members moving with practiced grace, confident in ways she wasn't. Her manager, a stern woman named Mrs. Cole, gave her a brief orientation. "You'll be at the front desk answering calls, checking guests in and out, and handling any issues that come up. Stay professional, be courteous, and don't panic if something goes wrong. We have a fast-paced environment here, so you need to keep up." Lila nodded, taking mental notes. She felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. She had always prided herself on being able to handle new situations, but this was different. She wasn't just serving coffee or stocking shelves. She was the first face guests would see. First impressions mattered, and she wanted to get it right. Her first day was a whirlwind. Calls came in nonstop. Questions about room availability, amenities, and local attractions. She stumbled at first, fumbling over the names of services and forgetting some procedures. A guest asked for an early check-in, and she had to quickly call housekeeping to see if a room was ready. Each small success built her confidence, and each mistake taught her to stay calm and think on her feet. By late afternoon, she had started to find a rhythm. She smiled at guests, answered questions politely, and even managed to resolve a minor complaint about a room not being properly cleaned. It wasn't perfect, but she felt proud. This was something she could do, something she could excel at if she stayed focused. As the day wound down, a group of tourists approached the desk, asking for directions to nearby attractions. Lila guided them patiently, noticing the appreciation in their eyes. She realized that despite the stress, she genuinely enjoyed interacting with people, helping them feel comfortable and welcome. It was a small joy, but it reminded her why she had always tried to find work that involved connecting with others. That evening, after her shift, she walked home feeling exhausted but accomplished. The streets were quieter now, the city lights casting a soft glow on the sidewalks. She thought about the challenges she had faced today and how she had managed to overcome them, even if only in small ways. There was a spark inside her, a sense that this temporary job might lead to something more than she had expected. The following days settled into a routine. Lila learned the names of regular guests, the quirks of the hotel's booking system, and the best ways to handle unexpected situations. She began to notice the little details that made the job unique, the subtle differences in how guests interacted, the way a smile could ease tension, or how a kind word could make someone's day better. She started to feel a sense of pride in her work, a confidence that had been missing from her life for months. One morning, while arranging keycards and organizing the front desk, she noticed a man standing by the entrance looking around as if taking in every detail. He wore a tailored suit, carried himself with quiet confidence, and had a calm, observant presence that made him stand out. Lila didn't know who he was, but something about him drew her attention. She reminded herself to stay professional and greet him politely when he approached. He walked toward the desk and Lila offered a warm smile. "Good morning, sir. How can I help you today?" He returned the smile, subtle but genuine. "I have a reservation under Nathan Ford," he said, handing over his identification. Lila typed quickly into the system, pulling up the reservation details. Everything seemed normal, but there was a faint air of distinction about him. Perhaps it was the way he spoke calmly, without arrogance, or how he treated everyone around him with quiet respect. "Here's your key card," Lila said, handing it to him. "Your room is on the 8th floor. Breakfast is served from 6:30 to 10, and if you need anything, just let us know at the front desk." "Thank you," he replied. His eyes met hers for a moment, and she noticed a warmth and attentiveness in them. It was fleeting, but left a small impression on her. She smiled politely and returned to her other tasks, unaware that this brief encounter would mark the beginning of something unexpected. Over the next few days, Nathan appeared around the hotel more than once. He would walk past the desk, sometimes exchanging brief greetings. Lila noticed small details. The careful way he treated the staff, the genuine interest he showed in simple conversations, and the calm confidence that didn't need to be displayed loudly. He wasn't like the other guests who seemed hurried, entitled, or dismissive. There was something different about him, but Lila didn't know what. Her routine continued, but now it was colored by a subtle curiosity. Who was this man, and why did he leave such an impression? She caught herself thinking about him during quiet moments, wondering what his life was like outside the hotel. She reminded herself to focus on her work, but the intrigue lingered in the back of her mind. One evening, the hotel faced an unexpected issue. A guest's reservation had been misplaced, and tempers flared at the front desk. Lila took a deep breath and stepped forward, listening carefully to the guest and apologizing sincerely. She quickly coordinated with housekeeping and management to resolve the situation. By the time it was over, the guest was satisfied and even thanked her for handling it professionally. Nathan had been nearby, waiting for the elevator, and had observed her calmly managing the crisis. He nodded slightly in acknowledgement, a silent gesture of respect. Lila didn't notice at the time, but it planted a seed of recognition in him. A quiet appreciation for her composure, patience, and ability to handle pressure. That night, as she walked home, Lila reflected on the events of the week. She realized that even in a temporary role, she had learned so much about herself. She had discovered strengths she hadn't recognized, moments of confidence that reminded her of her resilience, and a sense of purpose in connecting with people. She felt a small spark of hope that perhaps life was offering her more than just a paycheck. It was giving her a chance to grow, to learn, and to be seen. Lila went to bed that night with a mixture of exhaustion and anticipation. She didn't know what the next days would bring, but she felt ready to face them. The hotel had become more than just a temporary job. It was a place where she could prove to herself that she was capable, that she mattered, and that even small acts of kindness and professionalism could leave lasting impressions. As she drifted off to sleep, she couldn't have imagined that one of the guests she had greeted with a simple smile would soon change her life in ways she couldn't yet comprehend. The days ahead held surprises, challenges, and opportunities that would test her, inspire her, and ultimately lead her toward a path she had never expected. Lila's journey had begun, and the first chapter was already shaping her future in quiet, meaningful ways. The next morning, Lila arrived at the hotel earlier than usual. She felt a mix of excitement and nervousness, even though she had started to get used to the pace and routines of her temporary job. She liked being at the front desk, seeing the flow of people and managing the challenges that came with it. There was something satisfying about helping someone find their room, answer a question, or resolve a problem. Each small interaction felt meaningful, even if she didn't yet realize how important they could become. As she settled behind the desk and began organizing keycards, she noticed Nathan walking through the lobby. This time he carried a small leather briefcase and moved with quiet purpose. Lila greeted him politely, and he responded with a gentle nod and a calm smile. She didn't know much about him yet, but she was beginning to recognize the subtle confidence he carried. There was something unassuming but compelling about the way he moved, how he spoke, and the way he interacted with the staff. It wasn't loud or showy. It was just a quiet, natural presence that drew attention without trying. Over the next few days, Nathan continued to appear in the hotel, sometimes checking in for extended stays. sometimes attending meetings nearby. Lila found herself observing him more carefully, noticing the small gestures that made him different from other guests. He treated everyone politely, never rushed or impatient, and seemed to have an appreciation for even the simplest acts of kindness. She started to wonder what kind of life he led outside the hotel, imagining a world very different from her own, filled with opportunities, challenges, and experiences she had only dreamed of. One afternoon, the hotel faced a sudden problem. A major conference had been scheduled, and several guests arrived early, expecting rooms that were not yet ready. The front desk became chaotic as people complained and demanded immediate solutions. Lila felt the familiar surge of anxiety, but she reminded herself to stay calm. She had learned over the past week how to manage difficult situations without panicking. She began taking control of the situation, speaking politely but firmly to guests, coordinating with housekeeping, and offering temporary solutions where possible. She apologized sincerely when mistakes happened, and tried to find alternatives that would satisfy the guests. The lobby was tense, and the noise level rose as people became more impatient. But Lila's calm demeanor helped to diffuse some of the tension. She felt her heart race, but she didn't let it show. This was her moment to prove that she could handle pressure. Nathan, who had been waiting nearby, observed the entire situation quietly. He saw how Lila spoke to each guest with respect and understanding, how she didn't take the frustration personally, and how she worked diligently to find solutions. He was impressed by her professionalism, patience, and ability to remain composed under stress. For him, it was a rare sight, someone handling a high-pressure situation with genuine care and attention. He couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration and curiosity about this young woman who faced challenges with such grace. When the situation was finally under control, a few guests even came over to thank Lila personally. She felt a surge of relief and pride. It wasn't just about managing the chaos. It was about connecting with people, showing empathy, and creating a positive experience even in difficult circumstances. Nathan approached her then, offering a polite nod and a soft-spoken compliment. "You handled that very well," he said. "Most people would have panicked or become defensive, but you stayed calm and found solutions." "It's not easy to do that." Lila felt her cheeks warm, surprised that a guest she had barely spoken to had noticed. She smiled politely and thanked him. She didn't know that this simple acknowledgement would mean a great deal to him as well, because it confirmed the rare quality he admired, someone capable, kind, and authentic. As the days passed, Lila and Nathan began exchanging small conversations whenever he passed the front desk. They talked about trivial things at first, weather, local events, and the little quirks of the hotel. But gradually the conversations became slightly deeper. Nathan shared brief stories about places he had traveled, books he was reading, and his thoughts on life and work. Lila, in turn, opened up cautiously about her own experiences, her struggles finding work, and her dreams for the future. She didn't realize how unusual this connection was, especially given the differences in their lives. One afternoon, a guest approached the desk with a problem. Their room had been double-booked, and both parties were insisting on staying there. Lila quickly assessed the situation, apologizing sincerely and offering alternatives. She coordinated with housekeeping to prepare another room and personally escorted the confused guest to ensure they were comfortable. Nathan observed from a distance, noting the effort, care, and attention she put into each step. He was struck by how effortlessly she managed complex situations, combining professionalism with genuine empathy. It was rare to see someone so young handle such pressure with composure and humanity. By the end of the week, Nathan had noticed a pattern in their interactions. He admired Lila's resilience, optimism, and capacity to maintain her composure in the face of challenges. For her, the admiration was subtle and often expressed in small gestures, a polite nod, a thoughtful comment, or an occasional question about her day. Lila felt a sense of curiosity and intrigue growing inside her, though she didn't fully understand why she found herself thinking about him more than other guests. One evening, as Lila closed the front desk, Nathan lingered for a moment before approaching her. He asked if she had plans for the evening and suggested grabbing a cup of coffee together. Lila hesitated, caught off guard by the invitation, but something in his calm, approachable demeanor reassured her. She agreed, and they walked to a small cafe nearby. During their conversation, Nathan revealed a little more about his life. His work involved managing businesses and investments, traveling frequently, and meeting people from all walks of life. Lila shared her own story, speaking about her challenges finding stable work, her temporary job at the hotel, and her hope for the future. Nathan listened attentively, asking thoughtful questions and showing genuine interest. There was no judgment, no condescension, only sincere curiosity and a desire to understand her. By the time they parted ways that evening, Lila felt a sense of connection she hadn't expected. It wasn't romantic or superficial. It was the simple feeling of being seen, understood, and appreciated for who she was. Nathan walked back to the hotel, reflecting on the same thought. Rarely did he meet someone so authentic, capable, and grounded, especially in a world where appearances often mattered more than character. Over the next few days, their interactions became a subtle routine. Lila noticed small gestures, notes of appreciation left on the front desk, brief conversations that brightened her day, and the way Nathan's presence seemed to carry a sense of calm. She began to look forward to these moments, finding encouragement and inspiration in their exchanges. Nathan, in turn, found her authenticity refreshing and admired her ability to stay composed, kind, and professional no matter the situation. Lila's confidence began to grow. She realized that her temporary job was teaching her more than she had anticipated. It wasn't just about managing the front desk or handling guests. It was about developing resilience, empathy, and self-assurance. She felt proud of how far she had come even in just a few weeks. The challenges she faced, the problems she solved, and the connections she made were shaping her into someone stronger, more capable, and more aware of her potential. One morning, a sudden issue arose when a high-profile guest arrived unexpectedly, requiring urgent attention. The staff was momentarily panicked, but Lila stepped forward, organizing the check-in process, coordinating with housekeeping, and ensuring the guest was satisfied. Nathan, who happened to be nearby, observed her handling the situation with grace and efficiency. He couldn't help but smile, recognizing the rare combination of skill, patience, and kindness that made her stand out. As the week drew to a close, Lila reflected on the unexpected changes in her life. She had started her temporary job feeling nervous and unsure, but now she felt empowered, confident, and capable. Her encounters with Nathan had added a layer of curiosity, inspiration, and a sense that there were possibilities beyond what she had imagined. She didn't yet know how significant their connection would become, but she sensed that something meaningful was beginning to unfold, a chance encounter that might change the course of her life in ways she couldn't yet see. The hotel continued its bustling pace, but Lila had found her place within it. She approached each day with determination, empathy, and a quiet optimism. Every interaction, every challenge, and every small success built a sense of purpose and resilience within her. And somewhere in the background, Nathan's presence lingered, subtle but undeniable, a reminder that life often has a way of connecting people when they least expect it. Lila was ready for whatever came next, not knowing that her life was on the brink of an unexpected and remarkable turn. The morning started quietly at the hotel, with Lila arriving just as the sunlight filtered through the large glass windows of the lobby. She enjoyed these moments before the rush, when she could arrange key cards, tidy the desk, and take a deep breath before the flow of guests began. There was a certain calmness to the start of the day, a small window where she could gather herself and prepare for the challenges ahead. Today, though, the calm would be short-lived. A busload of tourists arrived unexpectedly, filling the lobby with chatter, laughter, and the rustle of luggage. Lila jumped into action, greeting each guest with a smile, checking reservations, and directing them to elevators and rooms. She moved swiftly but carefully, noticing the relief in guests' eyes when she helped them navigate what could have been a confusing situation. She realized that her role wasn't just about checking people in, it was about making them feel welcome, safe, and cared for. Nathan happened to arrive during the chaos. He observed from a distance as Lila managed the crowd with patience, her calm demeanor helping to steady the tension that had risen among some anxious guests. He watched her take charge without being overbearing, assisting multiple guests at once while keeping a warm smile on her face. It was impressive not just in skill but in character. Nathan felt a quiet admiration growing for her, a respect for someone who could remain so composed and kind under pressure. Once the lobby had settled and the last of the tourists had been guided to their rooms, Nathan approached the front desk. "You handled that exceptionally well," he said quietly. "Most people would have felt overwhelmed, but you kept everything running smoothly." Lila felt a mix of surprise and pride. Hearing this from a guest who seemed so observant and composed himself meant a lot. She smiled and thanked him, a genuine warmth in her voice. She didn't yet understand how their brief conversations were shaping her confidence and self-perception. Nathan had a subtle way of noticing and appreciating small details, and for Lila, it was a reassurance that she was being seen, not just as a worker, but as a person. As the day progressed, Lila faced several small challenges. A misplaced key card, a guest requesting last-minute changes to their reservation, and a minor dispute over room charges all demanded her attention. She handled each one with care, patience, and clear communication. The sense of accomplishment after resolving these problems was deeply satisfying. She realized that these moments were more than just tasks. They were opportunities to grow, learn, and demonstrate her capabilities. Later in the afternoon, Nathan returned to the lobby. This time he engaged her in a longer conversation. They spoke about books, travel, and personal interests. Lila found herself opening up more than she had with anyone at the hotel. She shared stories of her past struggles, the challenges of finding consistent work, and her hopes for the future. Nathan listened attentively, his body language relaxed but engaged, his questions thoughtful. For the first time in a long while, Lila felt truly heard. Nathan also shared glimpses of his own life. He talked about his work, the responsibilities of managing multiple businesses, and the lessons he had learned along the way. He didn't boast or brag. He simply offered insight into the life he led, giving Lila a glimpse into a world she had rarely encountered. There was an authenticity in his storytelling, a sincerity that made her feel comfortable and inspired. She began to see that despite the differences in their lives, there were values and experiences they both shared: hard work, perseverance, and the desire to make a positive impact on the world around them. A few days later, a particularly stressful situation arose when a family arrived with several children, all tired from a long journey. Their room wasn't ready, and the children began to cry, adding pressure to the already tense environment. Lila knelt down to speak to the children, calming them with gentle words and a friendly smile while coordinating with housekeeping to prepare an alternative room. The parents, grateful for her patience and empathy, thanked her multiple times. Nathan, who had been nearby, observed this with a quiet sense of admiration. He noted how she treated each individual with care, attention, and respect, regardless of the circumstances. Over time, Nathan began to recognize that his visits to the hotel were no longer just about convenience or business. They were about connecting with someone who saw life in a similar, grounded way. Lila's authenticity, resilience, and empathy resonated with him. Her ability to remain composed and kind, even in challenging situations, left an impression that he couldn't ignore. For him, these small moments revealed more about character than wealth, status, or achievements ever could. Meanwhile, Lila continued to grow in confidence. She noticed that handling difficult situations at the hotel made her feel stronger and more capable. Each successful interaction, each resolved problem, reinforced her belief that she could manage challenges beyond the hotel walls as well. She started to envision possibilities for her future that had once seemed distant or unattainable. The temporary job, initially seen as a stopgap, had become a training ground for life lessons and personal growth. One afternoon, a major event was scheduled in the hotel ballroom, a charity gala attracting prominent figures from the city. The staff was in a frenzy preparing for the evening, ensuring every detail was perfect. Lila was responsible for coordinating guest arrivals, managing seating arrangements, and handling any issues at the front desk. The pressure was high, but she approached each task methodically, focusing on solutions rather than stress. Nathan arrived early, observing quietly as she orchestrated the complex process with efficiency and grace. During the gala, several high-profile guests needed assistance or guidance. Lila moved from one situation to another, resolving minor conflicts, answering questions, and ensuring that everyone felt attended to. Her calm demeanor and proactive approach were noticed by multiple guests, who praised her professionalism. Nathan watched closely, impressed by her ability to manage multiple responsibilities simultaneously without losing her warmth or patience. In that moment, he saw not just a temporary receptionist, but a capable, intelligent, and compassionate individual who could thrive in any environment. After the event, Nathan found a moment to speak with Lila privately. "You were incredible tonight," he said softly. "I've seen many people in high-pressure situations, but very few handle it with both competence and empathy. You have a rare gift." Lila felt a mix of pride and humility. She appreciated the acknowledgement, but more importantly, she felt encouraged and motivated. Nathan's words weren't just praise. They were a reflection of qualities she had always possessed but sometimes doubted. His recognition reinforced her belief in herself and her potential. In the following days, their conversations grew more meaningful. They discussed values, life experiences, and personal aspirations. Nathan encouraged Lila to consider opportunities she hadn't thought possible, and she began to see a path forward beyond temporary employment. The connection they were building was not superficial. It was rooted in mutual respect, understanding, and an appreciation for each other's authenticity. One morning, Lila faced a personal challenge. She received unexpected news about a financial issue that threatened to disrupt her stability. Feeling overwhelmed, she confided in Nathan during a brief encounter at the front desk. He listened attentively, offering thoughtful advice and practical solutions without judgment. His calm presence and genuine concern helped her feel supported and understood. It was a turning point, showing her that meaningful support could come from unexpected places and that her life was capable of positive change. By the end of Part 3, Lila had grown not only in professional skill but also in personal confidence. She realized that her temporary job had become a transformative experience, teaching her resilience, empathy, and the power of human connection. Nathan's presence had introduced a new dimension to her life, one that combined inspiration, guidance, and a subtle sense of possibility. She didn't yet know the full impact of their connection, but she felt a growing anticipation for the future. The path ahead seemed uncertain but also full of promise, and Lila was ready to step forward, embracing each challenge and opportunity with courage and grace. Lila arrived at the hotel early that morning, her mind buzzing with anticipation and a hint of nervousness. The hotel lobby had begun to glow under the soft morning light, and the familiar hum of activity already filled the air. She took a deep breath, feeling both comfort and responsibility settle over her. Today was just another day in her temporary job, yet it carried a weight of possibility she hadn't yet fully understood. As she prepared the front desk for the morning rush, Nathan walked in. His presence had become a regular yet subtle part of her day, a calm thread weaving through the busy fabric of her work. He greeted her with a quiet nod and a small smile, and Lila felt an unexpected warmth. Their interactions had grown more frequent and more personal over the past week, moving beyond brief exchanges to conversations filled with mutual curiosity and genuine interest. They began talking about books, favorite cities, and travel experiences. Nathan shared a few stories from his journeys, highlighting moments of wonder, humor, and insight. Lila listened intently, fascinated by his perspective yet sharing her own stories in return. Tales of challenges, small victories, and dreams she had long held close. These conversations, though casual on the surface, were opening doors to deeper understanding and connection. Nathan admired her resilience and her ability to articulate thoughts with clarity and sincerity, while Lila felt a growing sense of encouragement and inspiration. That afternoon, the hotel faced an unexpected surge of guests. A popular event in the city had attracted visitors at the last minute, and the lobby was suddenly crowded. Lila found herself managing multiple tasks at once, checking in guests, answering questions over the phone, and coordinating with housekeeping to prepare rooms. The pressure was intense, yet she moved with a sense of calm determination. She had grown confident in her abilities, and this challenge became an opportunity to prove her resilience and adaptability. Nathan observed quietly from a distance, noticing how Lila handled each situation with poise and efficiency. He saw her negotiating calmly with an impatient guest, finding solutions for others, and maintaining a welcoming demeanor for everyone. Her ability to balance professionalism with empathy left a lasting impression. Nathan realized that her presence, her calm energy, and her thoughtful actions were far more valuable than he had initially anticipated. There was a rare authenticity in the way she carried herself, and it drew his attention not as a fleeting curiosity, but as a meaningful recognition of character. In the following days, Nathan made small gestures that showed his growing appreciation. He would leave brief notes on the front desk, expressing thanks or sharing a thoughtful observation. Sometimes he would pause for a short chat, asking about her day or commenting on a book she had mentioned. Lila noticed these gestures and felt a mixture of curiosity and gratitude. She began to realize that these interactions, however small, were influencing her sense of self and her perception of what could be possible. One morning, a situation arose that tested Lila in a new way. A family arrived with young children, one of whom was upset and crying loudly. The parents were stressed and frustrated from travel delays. Lila approached with a calm smile, speaking gently to the child and guiding the parents through the check-in process with patience and clarity. She coordinated with housekeeping to prepare a room suitable for the family and ensured that the children felt comfortable. The parents expressed their heartfelt thanks, and Nathan, observing the interaction, felt a deep sense of admiration. He recognized the combination of skill, empathy, and intuition that allowed Lila to handle the situation with such grace. Over time, their interactions became a quiet rhythm. Nathan would arrive, and they would exchange greetings, share small conversations, and discuss topics ranging from work to personal interests. Lila found herself looking forward to these moments, feeling motivated by his presence and inspired by his words. Nathan, in turn, found in Lila a refreshing authenticity, someone grounded, insightful, and capable of genuine kindness. Their exchanges, though never rushed or overly familiar, created a connection that felt increasingly significant. One afternoon, Lila faced a personal challenge. She received unexpected news about a financial concern that threatened her stability. Feeling anxious, she confided briefly in Nathan during a quiet moment at the desk. He listened attentively, offering calm reassurance and thoughtful suggestions. His response was measured and supportive, providing both practical guidance and emotional encouragement. Lila felt a sense of relief, realizing that she could share small burdens with someone who respected her, listened carefully, and offered perspective without judgment. As the week progressed, Lila began to notice subtle shifts within herself. She was growing more confident in her professional abilities, more patient with unexpected challenges, and more open to possibilities that had previously seemed out of reach. Nathan's presence, his encouragement, and his recognition of her strengths had become a quiet but powerful influence. She realized that connection and genuine appreciation could be transformative, reshaping her perspective on both work and life. One evening, the hotel hosted a gala event attended by several high-profile guests. Lila's responsibilities included managing guest arrivals, coordinating seating arrangements, and addressing any immediate concerns at the front desk. The pressure was intense, yet she handled each task methodically, maintaining calm and ensuring a smooth flow of events. Nathan watched from the sidelines, noting the way she communicated clearly, moved efficiently, and handled challenges without losing composure. He was struck by her ability to navigate complex situations with both intelligence and empathy, a combination that was rare and remarkable. After the gala, Nathan approached her privately. "You were remarkable tonight," he said quietly. "Most people would have been overwhelmed, but you maintained composure, efficiency, and grace. It's not something you see often." Lila felt a surge of pride and humility. Nathan's words weren't just acknowledgement. They were validation of qualities she had sometimes doubted in herself. She realized that her temporary role had become more than just work. It was a stage on which she could demonstrate her strengths, learn from experiences, and grow as a person. Their conversations grew deeper as the days went by. They spoke about values, life lessons, and aspirations. Nathan encouraged Lila to consider opportunities beyond the hotel, recognizing her talents and potential. Lila began to entertain possibilities she had never imagined, feeling a sense of empowerment and hope. The temporary job had become a catalyst for personal growth, revealing skills, resilience, and confidence that had been dormant for too long. In quiet moments, Lila reflected on the changes in her life. She recognized that chance encounters could hold profound significance, that small gestures of recognition could alter one's trajectory, and that genuine connections could inspire courage and ambition. Nathan's presence, initially just another guest, had become a source of subtle but meaningful influence, shaping her sense of possibility and her outlook on the future. By the end of Part 4, Lila had not only gained confidence and professional competence, but also a sense of anticipation for what lay ahead. The temporary role that had once felt uncertain and fleeting now appeared as a foundation for growth, learning, and opportunity. She felt prepared to face challenges, embrace possibilities, and navigate life with a renewed sense of purpose. Nathan's quiet but steady influence had become an integral part of her journey, a reminder that human connection, recognition, and understanding could open doors in ways she had never imagined. Lila was ready for the next chapter, unaware that her life was on the cusp of change, ready to be transformed by events that would alter her path forever. Lila arrived at the hotel with a sense of quiet anticipation. Her temporary role was nearing its end, and though she had grown comfortable with her routine, she felt a twinge of uncertainty about what would come next. She had learned so much about herself in the past weeks, about patience, resilience, and the value of connecting with people, but the thought of leaving this small world of responsibility and interaction brought a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. The morning began with a familiar rhythm. Guests arrived, some checking out, others arriving for short stays. Lila moved between tasks with efficiency and calm, greeting everyone with a smile, answering questions, and resolving minor problems. The front desk had become a stage where she had learned to balance professionalism with kindness, handling stress with composure while making others feel valued. Each interaction reinforced her confidence and reminded her of the growth she had achieved since her first day. Nathan appeared mid-morning, as he often did. His presence had become a quiet part of her day, a subtle comfort and a source of inspiration. Over the past weeks, their conversations had grown from small talk into deeper discussions about life, aspirations, and the choices that shape our paths. Nathan's interest in her thoughts and experiences had sparked something inside Lila, a sense that her life could hold possibilities she hadn't dared to imagine before. Today, however, felt different. Nathan lingered longer than usual, waiting for a quiet moment when the lobby had calmed. "Lila," he said gently, "I wanted to talk to you before your time here ends. You've handled this job with remarkable grace and skill. You've impressed everyone who's watched you, but more importantly, you've impressed me." Lila felt a mixture of surprise and curiosity. She had expected farewells and polite words, but the sincerity in his tone made her heart race. She nodded, listening carefully as he continued. "I know this is a temporary role for you, and soon you'll be moving on, but I want to offer you an opportunity, one that I believe aligns with your talents and potential. I've been looking for someone I can trust and someone with your qualities for a project I'm passionate about. I think you could make a real difference, and I'd like to invite you to join me in this endeavor." For a moment, Lila felt speechless. The chance to step into a world she had only observed from a distance was overwhelming. She had never imagined that a temporary receptionist role could lead to such an unexpected possibility. Yet as she looked at Nathan, she saw genuine respect and belief in her abilities. It was not about wealth or status. It was about recognition, trust, and potential. Taking a deep breath, she spoke softly. "I don't know what to say. I've been learning so much here, and I never expected anything like this. But I want to try. I want to make the most of this opportunity." Nathan smiled, his expression warm and encouraging. "That's all I need to hear. I believe in your abilities, and I think this could be the beginning of something meaningful for both of us." The following days were a whirlwind of preparation. Lila wrapped up her responsibilities at the hotel, saying goodbye to colleagues and regular guests who had come to appreciate her presence and professionalism. She reflected on how much she had grown in confidence, resilience, and interpersonal skill. Every challenge she had faced, every problem she had solved, and every guest interaction had shaped her into someone capable of handling far more than she had initially believed. Nathan guided her through the initial stages of the project, sharing knowledge, strategies, and insight. Lila absorbed everything eagerly, her mind racing with ideas, inspiration, and curiosity. She discovered that the world she had glimpsed as a receptionist, the bustling activity, the unexpected challenges, and the human connections, was just the beginning. Now she was stepping into a space where her skills, empathy, and intelligence would be valued in entirely new ways. In the first weeks, Lila faced challenges that tested her in ways different from the hotel environment. Meetings, strategy discussions, and problem-solving sessions required focus, patience, and adaptability. She relied on the lessons she had learned behind the front desk: composure under pressure, clear communication, empathy, and initiative. Each success reinforced her confidence, and each setback became a learning opportunity. Nathan remained a steady presence, offering guidance while allowing her to take initiative and make decisions. As time passed, Lila began to see the impact of her contributions. Projects she worked on reached milestones. Ideas she suggested were implemented, and her dedication was noticed not only by Nathan, but by others involved in the work. She felt a sense of purpose and fulfillment that she had never experienced before. Her life, once constrained by temporary jobs and financial uncertainty, was now opening into a world filled with opportunity, learning, and meaningful connections. Beyond professional growth, Lila experienced personal growth as well. She became more self-assured, trusting her instincts and valuing her voice. She learned to navigate challenges with grace, to collaborate effectively, and to remain authentic even in high-pressure situations. The confidence she had built at the hotel, the small victories and interactions that had seemed ordinary at the time, became the foundation for the success she was now experiencing. Nathan and Lila developed a strong partnership built on trust, respect, and shared vision. They collaborated on projects, discussed ideas, and celebrated milestones together. Nathan's mentorship and belief in her abilities gave her the courage to take risks, embrace opportunities, and pursue growth. Lila, in turn, brought fresh perspectives, insight, and empathy that enriched the work they were doing. One evening, as they reviewed the progress of a significant project, Lila reflected on the journey that had brought her here. She thought about the first day at the hotel, the nervousness and uncertainty she had felt, and the moments of triumph and learning that had shaped her. She realized that the temporary receptionist role, which had seemed so insignificant at the time, had been the starting point for a transformative chapter in her life. The experiences, challenges, and human connections had prepared her for opportunities she had never imagined. Nathan noticed her thoughtful expression and spoke gently. "You've come a long way, Lila. I'm proud of what you've accomplished, and I'm glad I got to be part of your journey." Lila smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "I never expected this path, but I'm grateful for every step. It's amazing how one unexpected encounter can change everything." The story of Lila's journey was a testament to resilience, opportunity, and the power of human connection. A temporary job that seemed ordinary had led to extraordinary growth, mentorship, and life-changing opportunity. Through patience, perseverance, and authenticity, she had transformed challenges into stepping stones, proving that even chance encounters could hold the potential to redefine a life. By the end of Part 5, Lila's life had changed dramatically. She had moved from uncertainty and temporary employment to a world of purpose, growth, and opportunity. The journey was far from over, but she now faced it with confidence, skill, and a renewed sense of possibility. Her story served as a reminder that sometimes the smallest actions and the briefest encounters can lead to transformative outcomes, and that human connection, recognition, and trust can open doors in ways nothing else can. Lila was ready to embrace the future, knowing that the foundation of her journey, her empathy, resilience, and authenticity, would continue to guide her toward greater fulfillment and success. After settling into the new role that Nathan had offered, Lila felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. She had spent weeks at the hotel learning the ropes of professionalism, patience, and empathy, and now she was entering a completely different world, one of high-stakes decisions, strategic planning, and opportunities that could shape the future. Her temporary job had been a stepping stone, and she knew that the next steps would require courage, focus, and adaptability. Her first day in this new chapter began with an orientation. Nathan introduced her to a team of professionals who were working on a series of initiatives designed to make a meaningful impact in their industry. Lila felt nervous at first, observing the confidence and expertise of those around her. But she reminded herself of the lessons she had learned at the hotel: stay calm, focus on solutions, and always treat people with respect and understanding. These principles had carried her through challenges before and would continue to guide her now. Nathan assigned her to a project that required a blend of organization, creativity, and interpersonal skills. Lila would be coordinating multiple aspects of the project, ensuring that communication flowed smoothly between team members and that tasks were completed efficiently. At first, the complexity was overwhelming, but she quickly discovered that the skills she had honed at the front desk, attention to detail, problem-solving, and patience were incredibly valuable in this new environment. She began to feel a sense of competence and control she hadn't expected. In the first few days, she faced several unexpected challenges. Deadlines shifted, communication channels became clogged, and there were disagreements among team members about priorities. Lila approached each situation calmly, listening to concerns, suggesting compromises, and ensuring that everyone felt heard. Her ability to mediate without taking sides, to keep everyone focused on solutions rather than problems, earned her quiet respect from the team. Nathan noticed how naturally she handled these situations and occasionally offered guidance, but he mostly allowed her space to take the lead. This trust strengthened her confidence and helped her embrace responsibility without fear. One afternoon, the team faced a critical decision that could affect the outcome of the project. Two members disagreed strongly about the approach to take, and tensions ran high. Lila stepped forward, summarizing each perspective clearly, pointing out potential benefits and risks, and suggesting a compromise that incorporated key elements from both sides. Her proposal was accepted, and the team moved forward smoothly. Nathan, observing from a distance, nodded appreciatively, realizing that Lila's calm reasoning and ability to connect with people were making a significant impact. As days turned into weeks, Lila found herself growing in ways she hadn't anticipated. She became more assertive, able to present ideas confidently in meetings, and more adaptable, capable of navigating shifting priorities with grace. She also grew more self-aware, recognizing her strengths and weaknesses, and learning how to leverage her abilities to achieve results. The skills she had developed at the hotel, empathy, patience, and clear communication, proved invaluable in this higher-pressure environment, showing her that personal growth often comes from unexpected experiences. Nathan occasionally took time to mentor Lila personally, discussing strategy, decision-making, and leadership. He shared insights from his own experiences, illustrating how challenges could be approached creatively and effectively. Lila absorbed these lessons eagerly, asking questions, reflecting, and applying new strategies to her work. Nathan's belief in her potential reinforced her determination, and she felt increasingly confident in her ability to contribute meaningfully to the project.